How was I influenced to enter the beauty industry? That's a good question, huh? I think as a young man, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And I was getting my hair cut one day in a salon, and I thought, wow, good way to do it. I started out with a guy named Scott Cole. That's where I got my training. Scott was trained at Sassoons. He used to be creative director in Sassoons in London. The discipline that taught me and the creativity, I think, would have been unmatched because Scott was very magical with his hands. The way he worked was unbelievable. It was a blessing, I think, to start out that way. The main thing I learned from Scott that still carried to today, and that I think that I try to teach whenever I can, is that cutting is a form of discipline. So it's not about learning a new haircut. It's about learning a technique by which you can apply that to create any haircut you want to create. I used to be a pretty damn good colorist. If I do say so myself, yeah. I still have a passion for that, but my real passion is cutting, I think. I think we as an industry forgotten about the haircut. Oz is a cutting brand, and the reason we're a cutting brand is because I believe, because of my heritage and how I got started with Scott and the people that influenced me, and what built this industry. This industry was built on a haircut, it wasn't built on a color. And over time, we've kind of been given this narrative that has steered us away from the haircut into this color world. And color is great, fantastic, you have to have it. However, you can't have a great style without the haircut. You can have a great color and a bad cut, it doesn't work. You can have a great haircut and a bad color, and it still works. And the haircut is the foundation of everything we do, and everything we've done has built this amazing industry that we all are part of today. And I think that's one of our mission is to bring the haircut back to the forefront, and especially the discipline and the art of it, and how that translates into a style for your client. Oz's mission to bring the haircut back to the forefront was started when I was trying to decide who I would bring on. In my search, I knew I had to go back to my roots of what I've learned, and I knew I had to go back to what the roots of this industry were about. And that's how I approached Jeremy Davies, now Jeremy Davies-Barbala, and to get him on board as creative director, because I think his level of discipline is along the lines of what it used to be when it first started. His level of work is along that, and I think it's very few and far between individuals today that really understand the craft and the art of haircutting.
So I've been hairdressing for 30 years, started my career working with Rodger Azadganian in London. Very fortunate, fantastic grounding for me. One of my most privileged positions was running staff training in London alongside the legendary Annie Humphreys. And those years were definitely some of my most cherished for sure, and probably the biggest learning curves I've had in my career. But the passion for hair cutting and education has always been there, and if there's one place you're going to do it, Rodger Azadganian was definitely the place. So my main role as the creative director for Oz Craft Luxury Haircare is to deliver the visual identity of the brand in our imagery, as well as our curriculum and our education in haircutting. Some of the disciplines I learned early on in my career were precision hair cutting. One of the emphases we have at Oz Craft Luxury Haircare is the haircut and bringing the haircut back to the forefront. I have learned so much in my journey so far here, and it feels so special to me because you can get to a point in your career where you can go stagnant. And working for a family brand, building it from the ground up, being there from the beginning, it's, what can I say? It's special.
So I've been a hairdresser for 35 years now, maybe a little over 35 years. To me, it's been an amazing journey. I didn't at first like being a hairdresser. I think most hairdressers probably go through something like that. And I think I grappled with that at the beginning. And once I worked my way through that and realized how much power we have in making people feel good about themselves and instantly change this individual state, I think is so powerful. That's what really got me, and I was like, wow, I can do this for people. And sounds corny as hell, it's what we do. And I think we forget that. February 4th of 2003, I opened up my first salon in Seattle, Washington. In 2010, we started again here in Charlotte, and we've had an amazing growth for the past 13 years here. Currently, we have 2 locations, one in Seattle, Washington, and then we have one in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're each roughly about 6,000 square feet. The one in Seattle has 42 chairs in it. The one in Charlotte has 34 chairs in it. One day I was standing at the front desk and I was talking to a client, and I noticed another client walking in and going to the retail area and looking at the array of products. She couldn't figure out what was right for her because there were so many things to choose from. And how do you know out of 85 plus SKU what's the right one for you? And I think out of frustration, she turned around and walked out the door. And I didn't have time to go there. We were so busy as she left. And I thought to myself, why do we have 85 plus SKUs on our shelves? Why do we need that? I decided then that I had enough of it. As a salon owner, I had enough of it because the investment I had to have on the shelf, plus the investment I had to have in inventory to back what's on the shelf, plus how do I decide out of 85 plus SKUs what to have at the stations for my stylist to use? When I set out to create this line, I was fortunate enough to have carte blanche on making sure that we created the best line possible. So we just wanted to make sure we had the best ingredients we should possibly have for a performance-based brand. We spent 3 years crafting and shaping this line to make it the best it could be, and everything was done from scratch. This wasn't a private label, off-the-shelf formulations, or taking somebody else's stuff and putting my fragrance into it. Everything was from scratch. With a passionate chemist that believed in this mission and what we were trying to do. We worked hand in hand for 3 years. We had all the stylists in the salon. We had 60 clients that we tested these things on, and the stylists in the salon all had a say on it. We set out to make it the best, and we believe we accomplished that goal, without a doubt.
Having made the conscious decision to make a small bespoke brand with only 13 products, that has led to us having a much smaller carbon footprint than other leading brands.
I mean, do you really need hairspray for fine hair, medium fine hair, light fine hair, thick hair, curly hair, this hair, that hair, anti-humidity hair, this? No, you don't need hairspray for that. You need one hairspray that you can use and you can layer to give you more hold. And so the philosophy of being an inch wide in offerings and a mile deep in performance was really what the foundation of what we built all these products on.
So one of the main strengths of the brand is really how we connect with the stylist. It's a brand which has been clearly made by hairdressers for a professional stylist. And it's such a cliche thing to say, but we feel strong about saying it because the performance of our brand is what a stylist deserves and should expect. We pride ourselves in the performance of the product.
Most brands that came in the door to try to sell us, they all had a minimum purchase requirement, they all had contracts, and they all had confusing point systems. And I never could figure out what point was for what and when they expired or didn't expire or anything like that. So we simplified it all. Once you buy into our line, there is no minimum purchase requirements. If you need one, if you need 20 of something, if you need 100 of something, and you know, 2 something else, whatever it is, you can order whatever you want. There is no minimum purchase requirements. And then on top of that, there's no contracts. You decide you brought their line on and you don't, something happened, you don't like it, no problem. My goal for us is to be the go-to brand for craft hairdressers.
The special thing about an independent brand is when you take the corporate part out of it, you're left with the raw passion, vision, and you're able to deliver something from the heart. And I think anyone who's worked with us as a brand will understand how much it means to us, how much the stylist means to us, and how much the industry means to us. I mean, some of the issues within our industry that Oz Craft Luxury Haircare really addresses is not having to be committed to a certain amount of product to buy, not having to be a certain size of salon to be a part of our brand. What we believe really as a brand is we want to be big enough to carry you opposed to you being big enough to carry us.